Charlie Sykes.
How are you? Speaking to you from the frozen tundra of Wisconsin.
I'm just glad that I was not in the audience during that Davos speech.
Oh. And yet we all are, aren't we? What would
I
you have
mean,
done? Throw a shoe or something?
I don't want to go to jail, so I'm not going to throw
Yeah,
it. But I certainly
no.
would have made lots of, European eye rolls. Or what about Gavin Newsom
Yeah,
in the
he showed up.
audience?
Well, he showed up. But the big news is the Davos taco on Greenland. Did you see that
Yeah.
Donald Trump is basically, "Oh, I have a
Mm-hmm.
deal. I have a deal. I'm not. We're not going to have any tariffs because I'm going to. I've cut this new framework to do what I've been able to do all along. I mean, a massive climb down with the usual Trumpian bullshit that he's not actually, chickening out on all of this. But interesting that two things apparently deter Donald Trump. Number one, when Europe actually put some troops, some troops
Mm-hmm.
on the ground as tripwires. And number two, when the Dow Jones dropped 871 points, they were speaking Donald Trump's language, apparently. And so the, world bestriding leader goes to Davos, bullshits his way through that pathetic speech, and then caves in. What do you make of that?
Solving problems that would not be problems in a normal world if Donald Trump hadn't caused them. That
Exactly.
is Donald Trump's
Yeah.
métier.
Yeah, run
Yeah.
into the house, set a fire, go back outside, then run in and say that no one has ever been a better firefighter than me, right?
Mhm. Mhm. It's still jarring. Like, I think about the Munich Security Conference when, JD Vance told all of Europe that they
Yeah,
were cucks and, losers because they didn't allow the kind of Nazi rhetoric
yeah.
that our government freely engages in.
Yeah, no, I mean, the way the world is looking at the United States, I mean, this is what's happened over the last, couple of weeks here, you and I have been talking about this for how long? And, a lot of it is
A decade
same
of
old,
our
but
life
but
is
no,
gone.
yeah.
What
Oh, it is,
10
it
years.
is.
I was in my
10
30s.
years. But it did feel like it shifted, over the last week, the way the world not only the way the world saw the United States, but their willingness to stand up and express their thorough disgust
Mhm.
at this
With
behavior.
us.
And then, of course, I think the way Americans feel about themselves. I mean, the rhetoric that we got from, the Canadian prime minister. I mean, this may have been the moment when the West reached its breaking point and said, "We're done with your bullshit. We are done with appeasement. We are done with bringing you baubles and trying to, polish this turd and recognize that, you are no longer a reliable ally." But back to that speech, the the string of falsehoods, the just
Yeah.
complete alternative reality, the fabulism, the insults, nothing he said in that speech is going to make the rest of the world think better of the United States or begin to think that maybe Donald Trump has not lost his bleeping mind.
The Mark Carney speech the day before was
Fantastic.
so fantastic, right? And it was like a
Yeah.
serious speech about what is the country you want to be? What are the
Yeah.
values you want to
Mhm.
reflect? And then Donald Trump got up there and was like, I know that was about me, libtard.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, in general, political speeches these days are disposable.
Mhm.
They're not worth setting aside or going back to. I actually think that the Mark Carney speech is going to be one of those that historians will look at as kind of a pivot, as that moment when, in fact, we recognize, or at least Canada and much of the West recognize that the world order that has existed since World War II no longer exists because it has been broken. It has been smashed by the vanity of Donald Trump. I mean, what's this all about, Molly? I mean, when you think about it, and in the end, with now that he's tacoed on it, what did we get out of this other than the pure, naked, insecure, narcissistic id of Donald Trump, unleashed, untethered from reality and
I
morality?
mean, he weakened NATO a little more, which I think is ultimately, if you're gonna think of like if there's a strategic goal, and again, it's important usually not to ascribe smarts to Donald Trump because usually he's just operating out of
Mhm.
base guttural instinct. But if you were to have something that came out of it, it would be weakening NATO, which he did a
Yeah,
little
yeah.
bit. right?
Oh, I don't think it was a little bit. I think that, he stabbed what's left of NATO in the back. I mean, what is NATO other than the trust between nations who say they will come to each other's defense? Does anyone actually
Mhm.
believe that the United States would honor its commitments anymore? And I think that's why you're starting to see the realization that the Western alliance may have to move on without the United States. I mean, think about that. It's
Yeah.
speaking, unthinkable things that we have to think about right now. And so, I mean, does anyone think that the United States under Donald Trump would come to, the defense of any of the Baltic nations if they were attacked by Vladimir Putin or Russia? And the
No.
moment that happens, no. And the fact that we actually had NATO troops deployed in Greenland to deter a potential American invasion. And get your head
Right.
around that. So I think that NATO is basically a dead man walking, that Donald Trump has hollowed it out, and I don't know that it's going to be viable that much longer. I just don't know.
So let's talk about that because that's so scary. I mean, in some ways,
Yeah.
that's like pretty much the whole ball game is NATO. There are a couple things I'm struck by. One is that Canada made a deal with China. Mark Carney
Yes.
is traveling around the world. He's done more travel than any of these European leaders trying to secure new deals because his number one trading partner, the United States,
Mhm.
has completely lost its mind. But we are sort of being left in the dust.
Yeah, we are. I mean, and that's the other, part of this story is that we've already seen the tangible results of this. I mean, who would have guessed that Canada would pivot from the United States to China? That Canada would think that China was a more reliable trading partner than the United States. These are things that if you and I would have said them, a year ago, people would have accused us of Trump derangement syndrome. And yet here
Right.
we are, we live in that world. And does anyone think that other European nations, other nations around the world are not making the same kind of calculations? Who can you rely on? Who can you count on? So Trump has created this vast vacuum as we withdraw the withdrawing roar of all of our soft power. And who's stepping into that? But China. And then, of course, we squander any moral authority we had in criticizing Russia for going into Ukraine or China for going into Taiwan when we lust after seizing Greenland because we can.
Yeah. And it's funny because it's like it took about a year for Donald Trump to squander any kind of, he was polling better than he ever had. He had a coronation filled with billionaires who were ready to make deals.
Suck up to
And
him.
now, thing that's interesting when you see Trump on the world stage, and I wonder if you could talk about this, is like
Mm,
because we cover this so much, we just assume that everyone is craven and all Republicans will just go along with anything
yeah.
and all our billionaires are just but you go to the rest of the country, you look outside of the country and you realize the rest of the world is horrified by us.
Horrified and disgusted by us. So, yeah, he has squandered his popularity, and I think this will have some consequence. There are people who are, simply, transactional, and the weaker he becomes, the more willing they might be to stand up against him. Who knows? I mean, will it embolden a Supreme Court to actually begin drawing red lines? There were some indications of that,
Certainly
middle of the week.
today's
Yes, about,
Kavanaugh
the
decision, yeah.
Fed, right? I mean, so we'll see a little bit of that. That institutions in the media, in universities, law firms, other countries that have been reluctant to stand up against Donald Trump in the past might feel differently about standing up to somebody who is not just clearly demented and amoral, but also at a 35% approval rating. Now, having said that, Molly, as you
Right.
watch Donald Trump sundown, he becomes more dangerous, even if he is unpopular because of who he is and his bottomless neediness and whatever's going on with him, becoming more and more disinhibited, becoming more and more, untethered from reality, law, morality, anything. We have a long 3 years ahead of us. Oh
Yeah,
gosh,
and I mean,
yeah,
I do
3
think we
more.
really have a long one more year because if we have a free and fair and
Yeah,
not messed up midterms, Democrats will likely certainly win the House and very possibly win the Senate
just
if the
possibly.
numbers are what they are right now.
But winning a midterm election does not shift the presidential power, and yes, I agree with you, and
No.
I think that, and I don't wanna rain on this parade, prematurely. Yes, there will be more checks on him. On the other hand, there's always the possibility of misreading those results or overreading those results,
Right.
and what has to happen is that, I mean, the 2020 election. Now, you mentioned the Munich Security Conference and JD Vance's feculent performance there. That's a reminder that, the MAGA is here to stay, and that the successors
Mhm.
to Donald Trump may, I won't say they may be worse, because it's hard to imagine anyone being worse, but they are true believers, they are ideologues, and they are committed
Mhm.
to this particular view of the world. So, part of it is just the unripe bananas in Trump's prefrontal cortex doing the things that he does, and we all know that. On the other hand, there is a infrastructure in place that is deeply committed, to his fascist project, and you do use the
Mhm.
word, the F word, and I use it very advisedly, domestically and
Mhm.
internationally. If JD Vance is what's in our future, it is dark indeed. So again, do not, we have to run through the tape, and
Right.
running through the tape means not assuming that you only have 1 year left. It
Yeah.
is 3, and unless we all get our
It's
act together, it may be more. I'm
yeah,
not up for another
that's
decade. I don't know about you.
I am not up for another decade. I do not wanna be in this political environment in my 50s. I do not have the stuff for it, let me tell you. I am just
Yeah.
but I do think that's a really good point. I often think about how much better off we all were during Trump 1.0, like, that the media environment was fulsome, that we had all of these newspapers and magazines and networks, and that we had the American people committed to the project. And this time, it's like everybody's sort of checked out, and, you know, there's a sense I mean, it just the
Yeah, it felt that way early.
vibes. Yeah,
Well,
talk to me about that.
this is an interesting point. So in Trump 1.0, I still think that America had the muscle memory of the rule of law and of, democratic
Mhm.
values, right? We still
Yeah.
kind of assumed that all of that was in place, and would
Yeah.
remain in place. This time around, at least in the beginning, what I think that, what was the most shocking was to see how fragile they all were, how paper thin they were, how many
Yeah.
people were so exhausted, and the speed and the depth of the destruction. But again, at some point, maybe Americans are relearning. I mean, you and I look at the same sorts of things. Is the most recent polls are accurate? His approval rating is down to maybe 35%, 37%.
Mhm. Which
He's
is the
losing a
lowest
lot of,
it's ever been, like,
right,
ever, even Trump
right.
1.0.
And you look at the specifics, the things that he is doing, and he's making stupid political decisions.
Right.
Going after Greenland was a political loser. Starting another trade war obviously destroys any credibility he has on the affordability issue. So there is a blowback and a backlash to what's happening. I do think that the reaction to the way ICE is behaving,
Mhm.
those images are turning people, are breaking
Mhm.
through in a way that a lot of the other issues that we talk about on podcasts stay within our bubble and they don't break through.
Mhm.
These stories are breaking through, and the American
Yeah.
people are really now have to ask questions like, who are we? What do we want to be? What are our values? Why do we care about things like due process? Why
Right.
do we? Why are we suspicious of a police state? All of those things. So there might be a rebirth of some of those principles. I hope.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Like, why should we care about due process as we watch people get, rounded up and sent to concentration camps? It's funny because it's like, none of this is funny, but it,
No,
a
none of
lot of
it.
the stuff that's happening right now is stuff that we worried might happen in Trump 1.0. And when you would talk to voters,
And we're warned
you would
about.
say, yeah, you would say they're going to do this, and they'd say, no, no, he didn't do it last time.
Well, that's right. You think of all the warnings that were made, and look, I was deeply frustrated by the number of voices that were coming from inside the House. I mean, the people who had worked with Donald Trump in his cabinet, his own vice president, his own chief
Hmm.
of staff, who warned how broken and bent this man was. His own chief of staff, General Kelly, said that the man was a fascist, and yet
Hmm.
there were voters and there were smart people out there And the media said, "Oh, don't get too excited about it because he hasn't actually done these things. You need
Mhm.
to take him seriously, but not literally and all of that stuff." And Tr Trump 2.0 feels like it's like a demonstration, like everything that was going on in the minds of the Never Trump movement, here it is,
Right.
confirmed
Yeah.
in a horrible, terrifying way.
No, exactly. I mean, that is clearly what's happened here is that everything we worried was gonna happen has happened.
And
But
more,
I
and
want
worse,
and
and worse.
more. Yeah.
Mhm.
I want to go back to this idea that we were just talking about Vance. There's clearly some amount in this White House of things being run without Trump, right?
Yeah,
Like
something.
they clearly. So what do you think? What do you think is really because like Stephen Miller has is the Minnesota stuff, right? I mean, Venezuela, we never heard Trump mention Venezuela once.
Never
So that's got to
yeah.
be the little Marco stuff. Like, what do you think what parts of this White House are being run by who?
Well, I don't know. I don't have that kind of
But if you
visibility
had to
into it, but
guess.
well, but it's very, very clear that you do have people with a concerted plan. You do have the Russell votes who, are
Mhm.
following the Project 2025 plan as people were warned about,
Yeah,
in
yeah.
implementing his assault on a lot of the federal agencies. It's very clear that someone like Stephen Miller has the president's ear on issues like immigration enforcement, on this
Mhm,
idea of the mailed fist out there, the iron laws of history, you know? And
mhm.
I joke I joke, but not really joking about it. This feels like it's a translation from the original German, where he's
Right.
actually goes on television and says, "We have the right to Greenland because, the powerful always have the right to swallow up the weak." I mean, so
Right.
he's been whispering to Donald Trump. He's had a tremendous amount of influence. JD Vance obviously is pushing things like that new national security structure, he and Marco Rubio. The fact is that
Mhm.
they've put this in writing. I mean, it's for
Right.
people who say, "Oh, this is just a social media post," or "This is just off the cuff." Trump 2.0 has put in writing its attitudes about Europe, about freedom, about race, about civil rights in a way that I guess we ought to feel fortunate because it's right there. It is no
Mhm.
longer deniable.
Mhm. That's right, and I think very strange and important. What are you watching now? Like, there's all this stuff happening in Congress, which will increase the money for ICE and Homeland. Do
No
you
way.
think Democrats? I mean, you think there's going to be pushback there? You think?
Well, they
What do you
better
think's
be.
happening there?
No, I mean, there's no justification for, at this particular moment, going along and collaborating with this and funding ICE. I mean, this is
Yeah.
if there's not a red lights flashing, should not be business as usual moment, this would be it. I don't know how you watch what's been happening in Minneapolis right now, which, by the way, I think, is starting to feel kind of Civil War-y,
Mhm.
and say, "Yeah, let's give these people some more money." And I know there's a debate about should we abolish ICE or just simply demilitarize ICE. Let that play out. But one thing is pretty clear, you do not, fund ICE if you have an option. By the way, can I
Did you
show you
ever think?
something? Can I show you something
Yes,
first?
please
Okay.
show us.
I've actually
Yes,
all right. I wanna
yes,
show you my sweatshirt that I'm wearing here in the frozen tundra. I
yes,
hope people can
yes.
see it because I'm actually standing up.
That's
Do you see
fine,
it? Do
dude.
people
I'm
see it?
not mad at you. Renee Nicole Good. That's fine, dude. I'm
This
not
is
mad
what
at
she
you.
said 30 seconds before she was shot
Before
and
she
killed by an agent of the federal government. So my wife actually made these up. This is not merch. I'm not selling it. There's no way place you can buy it. But my wife was not that political. Was so moved, was so affected by that she went online and she made one for me, for herself and for a friend. Now that when I say this is breaking through, this has
yeah.
really touched the conscience of the nation. There are people who are engaging on this who have not engaged before by this. So for Democrats in Congress to turn around and go, "Yeah, let's pretend like it's what, 1997 and we're just simply going to
Mhm.
vote for these appropriation bills." I don't want to say the base won't find it acceptable because I don't think it's any longer just simply the base. Am I wrong?
Yeah. No, I think you're right.
Mm,
Charlie Sykes, thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you. You're the best.
thank you. It's always fun.